Into the runway, then a left turn and a left downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed. There you go. Go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final. You're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold. Take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final. Runway 9er clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine.
Oh, we had one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger, let's see, what we got, a tricycle, put it down, tricycle, put it down, put it down. Tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you cleared land on 9 all the way to the white dot, go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. You do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. Clear to land on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in tight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, you're on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that after 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Three, two, one.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? Thank you very, very much for joining us out there, and welcome to another Thursday night's live stream. I don't know what it's like where you are, but it's pretty noisy here. We had a bit of a challenging time over the last hour. I've had 2 power cuts. So there's a half a chance that I'm just going to suddenly disappear, which could be my colleagues just wiping me out, or it could be another power cut. So who knows? Anyway, coming up tonight. But before coming up tonight, I nearly forgot. Thank you very, very much, 4Flight for sponsoring the live stream. This is Sentry. I've been flying with Sentry, which works with 4Flight. In addition to being an ADSB in.
Oh, has he gone?
Oh no!
Oh, right. I thought that was me.
But what do we know about 4Flight?
Well, anyway, as he was saying, Sentry ADSB in device.
Yes.
What else has it got, guys? It's got a carbon monoxide detector. It's got an AHARS backup unit. Connects to your iPad to run 4Flight. Great bit of kit. You can go to flywithsentry.com/flyer to find out more about it. And we will post that link in the comments. And for a moment, should we just do that?
There we go. He's got. I quite liked him in his kind of paused format.
Oh, brilliant! Right, should we get on with the weather?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, we can do that, can't we?
Yeah.
Simon's here. Simon can be a replacement for Ian.
As if by magic, here I am. I tell you what, it's a good job it's not live, isn't it? Because we can get rid of all this bit later, can't we?
No one ever sees this stuff. No, it's brilliant.
Exactly. Anyway, nice to be here live again with you for the weekend weather. Actually, it's looking pretty good, you know. We've got some good flying conditions to come as we go through the course of this weekend. High pressure is doing us a bit of a favour. Now, I know many of you are on holiday this week. Those of you particularly with children at school, it's half-term week, of course. So I thought I'd start with the chart for Friday, first of all. Got an area of rain just to watch out for tomorrow across East Anglia and southeastern parts of England. You see here, just on the ceiling forecast, that's cloud cover of broken or more. The green colours here telling us we've got bases above ground level of greater than 2,000 feet. You can just see there, look, that green area across East Anglia, southeast England, just making for sort of marginal VFR conditions for those bases at about 2,000 feet tomorrow. But you see across most areas, actually, we have got basically fair conditions. Again, high cloud bases, light winds, watch out for some sea breezes on the coast, and another warm day as well. Now, for Saturday, high pressure still in control. It's a very slack airflow, as you can see, not many isobars on there at all. Bit of a complication with an occluded front just coming into the western parts of Scotland and northern parts of Ireland. That's probably got a little bit of rain associated with it. Again, ceiling forecast here, those yellow colours telling us that cloud bases above ground level are about 1,000 to 2,000 feet. So generally in this sort of area, western Scotland, Northern Ireland, slipping into marginal VFR conditions. But for most other areas, it is going to be a fair day, high cloud bases, good visibility, light winds. Just watch out for a little bit of low cloud, perhaps western coast of Wales, over the coast of southwest England. That western part of the channel, I think, perhaps seeing some mist or some fog patches just drifting onto the southern coast of Cornwall late on Saturday. But otherwise, for most of us, it looks pretty good. Again, watch out for sea breezes. And just another note that I got written down here is just be aware of the turbulence as well going through Saturday into Sunday. It's going to be pretty warm, and we're still at that time of year where with those temperatures rising, we can get some really strong thermals. So don't be caught out by that. You don't need to put it at moderate turbulence, but like I say, it's probably going to be very notable through the weekend. And then for Sunday, high pressure over the top of us on Sunday. Very light winds, as you can see there, with the isobars so wide apart. So very light winds, sea breezes developing around the coast again. Probably some cloud around though on Sunday morning. That may take a little bit of time to lift and break. And you see here the ceiling forecast really highlighting it across central, southern parts of England, southwest England, southern and southwestern parts of Wales as well. But this is the forecast for midday, and I think that probably by early afternoon most of it will have lifted and will have gone. Maybe a little bit hazy on Sunday as well, but again, just watch out, moderate turbulence as the temperatures come up, but generally it looks like being a fine weekend. And that sort of turbulence and the idea of the temperatures when turbulence kicks off is something that we cover at Aviation Weather School. If you've not been yet, this is your chance. I'm running my next Aviation Weather School live online on the Saturday mornings of the 18th and 25th of July between 09:30 and 12:30 hours. It'd be great to see you there. You can join me live for that. We'll talk about planning ahead for the next 5 days for your flying and build your confidence in being able to make forecasts yourself as well. It'll be great great to see you there. So whatever you're doing, have a fantastic flying weekend. It looks like being a good one, and make the most of it. I'll see you soon. Have a great one. Bye for now.
Wow, we managed to make that bit work.
Look at that. Marvellous. Thank you, Simon.
I wonder how panicked he is. I wonder what he's doing at the moment.
I wouldn't. Yeah. Anyway, yes. News.
Yeah. News. Well, there was. We had news all sorted out, and there was literally like 2 minutes before we came on air. There was news from Garmin that they were a finalist in the 2020 Robert J. Collier Trophy Award, and they've just announced that they have won that for the world's first certified autonomous landing system. This is Autoland. Which is certified in the TBM 940, the Cirrus Vision Jet, and the Piper M600 as well. So massive congratulations to Garmin. That is an amazing achievement, and the Collier Trophy has been the benchmark of aerospace achievement for over a century, and it's been won by some really top level stuff. So for them to win that for Autoland is a very meritorious accolade for them. So well done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess it's on to the rest of the news. And the big news this week, of course, is that Cornwall becomes a no-fly zone next week. Basically, yes, because of the G7 summit being held at Carbis Bay, which is near St Ives, they've imposed some temporary airspace restrictions. There's a little one to begin with from the 6th to the 9th, but from the 9th to the 13th, there's this. The whole county goes into pretty much no fly. Surface to 100,000 to 10. Oh! So don't fly to Cornwall next week. And it was the same on the same sort of thing, but not quite as big. The Midlands Air Festival is this weekend. It's at Ragley Hall in Warwickshire, slap bang in the middle of England. There's lots of airfields around there, so it's going to be really awkward. Surface to 6,500 feet because there's an air show on. That starts, the restrictions start tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock. I guess that's for aircraft flying in, but then it's all day Saturday and all day Sunday. Richard Goodwin is going to be one of the people flying there in the Muscle Pits. So if you're going, it should be nice.
I particularly liked on the notice for the Cornwall stuff. It said at the very bottom there was like a guarantee you will be intercepted.
Yes.
I bet you are. Just out of interest, and while I'm still here at the moment, considering the size of the thing in Cornwall, which I'm guessing there's a fair few paranoid people out there, I took a look back at the 2019 G7 arrangements because I'm a bit of a nerd like that, and that they were the G7 was held in Biarritz then. So they all flew into Bordeaux Merignac, and the French kind of split it into 5 different zones, all color coded. It takes a little bit getting used to this kind of thing, but the good thing is the black zone around the time, the Aquitaine 2 is 2,000 feet to flight level 115. So you can actually, there's quite a lot of accessible low-level airspace there still around Bordeaux, which is pretty good. It's only the red bit, which is surface 2,000, and the other bits are 1,000 to 2,000, 1,000 to 115 again, and 1,500 to 2,000. So I thought it was a pretty good job on the French, by the French there. I know the world's changed a bit, but there you go. So it can be done. It can be done. But I'm guessing there's a fairly large number of paranoid security people going, you don't want anything to happen on our watch. There you go.
Yeah. I'm guessing the Secret Service went to Nats and went, we need to shut down Cornwall, and they went, okay.
I think it was they probably phoned up Grant Shapps. Who said, we need to shut down Cornwall. He said, hang on a minute, I'm busy trying to screw FAA pilots in the UK. Sorry. that was last week's spring, wasn't it? Anyway,
let's move on, shall we?
Yeah, come on. Sorry.
Yeah, it's me next. Right, so there's a new frequency out. So the RAF and with the help of the CAA have launched a year-long trial for a low-level VHF common frequency, which started this week on the 1st of June. The frequency is 130.490, and the basic idea is it will try and improve collision avoidance and all that kind of thing, improve spatial awareness. You can, just call yourself. It's for when you're not in receipt of a large service or any other kind of air traffic service. If you're flying around in, obscure parts of the country below 2,000 feet, you can tune that frequency and just call yourself as and when you're going, where you're going. It sounds like a reasonably decent idea, but if the MOD fitted all their aircraft with ADS-B, that would be a much better improvement.
Yeah.
As fun as it would be to have a chat with a, Typhoon pilot going through the Lake District, I think electronic conspicuity would probably do more to help the cause.
Just imagine you can be in sight of a Typhoon and go, "I'm on your 6."
Guns.
Yes, cue misuse of the frequency and many Top Gun quotes.
Yeah.
Don't do it, kids.
Don't encourage that. That.
No, I'm not endorsing that behaviour.
No. Okay, who's next? Viper?
That would be me. So big news. Well, no, it was big news. Spamfield, the fly-in at the Isle of Wight, was a stunning success. I don't know what the final tally was on the numbers. Dave, do you know that?
I don't. I know they were pretty much. It was expecting 400 aircraft in the end, and because they had to use extra parking, in the north part of the airfield, I guess he must have reached his total 400.
And it's all the photos I saw from it. It looked absolutely jam packed, and also jam packed was the first fly-in at Glenforsa. That was almost. This is one of the early arrivals. This is Fly Club member
David Taylor.
David Taylor, yes, that's it. And so he looks like he's one of the early ones. I've seen other photos where Glenforsa Airfield is absolutely chocker full of all sorts of different types. So really fantastic to see lots and lots of people joining in with those fly-ins. So
yeah.
And if you made it and you're in the comments somewhere, let us know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
next up is German manufacturer Flight Design has boosted the performance of its popular CTLS with an option for the turbocharged Rotax 914T engine. Strange that they chose that engine rather than 915, but perhaps there's a good reason for it. Anyway, they are claiming a top speed of 140 knots and a climb rate of more than 2,000 feet per minute, which seems an awful lot from what's basically a microlight. But there's a picture of it on the Flyer website, and you can see how the engine is a very tight fit in the CT's engine bay. There's not an inch of, there's not inches anymore over there, is it? There's not a centimetre of space.
There's not inches anymore over here, Dave, either. Decimalisation.
I guess it never was inches over there. Anyway, but there's not a centimetre left to be filled. So it is actually the engineer, the managing director of the company said it's a thing of beauty. With the way they've managed to fit that engine in.
I would imagine that if they've only just managed to fit the 914 turbo in, then there was probably no chance of getting the 915 in there, because that's an even bigger packaging problem than the 914, and obviously a huge amount more expensive. So maybe there's a cost element there too.
Yeah.
I noticed on their press release talking about the 140 knot speed, it said 140 knot speed at altitude, but it didn't actually say which altitude. It's probably another one of those specials where, you can get 140 knot true airspeed at, you're at, I don't know, flight level 150 or something.
Is that a varying altitude? So between 10 and 8, it's like nose down.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have to say, all manufacturers clearly want to portray their aircraft in the best possible light, and I certainly wouldn't criticize them for that. However, there are some manufacturers who tend to go just that little bit further, and Flight Design over the years have said some interesting things in press conferences that have left a few of us looking at each other and go, exactly how are you going to get 170 knots out of 3 horsepower or whatever it was they were talking about at the time? It was, let's just say they were ambitious numbers. They're not unambitious with their numbers.
Oh well, yes. We've had a couple of entries for flying numbers for Spanfield and Glenforsa. Apparently, Glenforsa was 147 aeroplanes, and the Spanfield's been given 300 arrivals before midday Saturday. So that's stunning.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the queue for the bar at Glenforsa?
It must have been big.
Been big. Anyway, what's next then?
That's me again, Travis Ludlow. So this is Travis. Travis, who is absolutely, there's no more enthusiastic young pilot than Travis, and he is now making his slow trek across Russia, because Russia is an enormous place. But he set off. It's got to be a week ago now, on his bid to become the youngest pilot to fly around the world solo. You can track him live around from his website, aroundtheworldsolo.co.uk, and he's posting on Facebook and Twitter, and seems to be doing really, really well. I noticed there almost seemed to be a little bit of homesickness creeping in, because he mentioned on one, he's like, "Oh, I'm getting really far away from home." So, but keep flying, Travis, and stay safe. And I think once you're out of Russia, if you get into the US, then you'll be doing well. So.
I many years ago, I can't remember, maybe 8 years ago or something like that, I flew to Russia in the 182, and the amount of paperwork involved in getting into Russia and then getting back out of each airfield. I landed at Zhukovsky, just outside Moscow, in St. Petersburg. The amount of hassle getting out was just immense, and I did honestly think at times I'd end up leaving the airplane there. And when I crossed the border outbound, it was a massive sigh of relief. It was just thank you for getting out. I think things have probably improved now a bit, I hope, for Travis's sake. But it was you can easily think, bloody hell, I am a long way from home here, and not everyone appears to be as friendly as you would normally like sometimes.
And he's on the last couple of days. I know today, I think he did 9 hours flying, and the day before was nearly 8 hours. And this is all still in Russia. So it's a lot of flying and still being in one country.
Yeah, flying across America, isn't it?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Good one.
Very good. Dave.
So I've got the serious story. This is about a new group, a new campaign group called PLAG. And it stands for Pilot Licensing Advisory Group. And it's a bunch of approved training organizations. They're the people who train professional pilots. And they say, quite bluntly, the UK's exit from EASA has been rushed and badly managed. And they're laying the blame firmly at the feet of the CAA, saying things like for the ATPLs, the Air Transport Pilot License, you have to take theoretical exams, which are 14 exams. They're saying that they are not fit for purpose anymore. The CAA's acquired databases from EASA, and the current one is just not usable. They're saying the CAA is failing to consult. They keep making post-Brexit decisions on the hoof. They've got confused, contradictory, and very slow responses to queries. And finally, they say there is a divergence by the UK CAA from EASA. So in other words, when we left EASA, the thinking was that we would try and mirror what's already going on. But what they're saying is that the CAA is deliberately going off at a tangent. This is pretty serious stuff, and they've called on the Secretary of State, our friend Grant Shapps, to do 3 things, really. His 3 things are immediately amend the law so that valid EASA licenses, certificates and approvals are accepted, full stop. Instruct the CAA not to diverge from EASA standards without good reason. And thirdly, this is a bit contentious. I'm not quite sure they're going to get anywhere with this one, but he wants the Secretary of State to instruct the DFT to seek renewed membership of EASA. Well, that's a big ask. I'm not sure they're going to go down that route, but certainly the other things sound very reasonable.
I mean, I think there's some fairly serious people involved in that, aren't there? It's not kind of just a fringe group. There's some people who are fairly central to the whole professional flight training industry involved in that, and a lot of the things they're asking for are because the whole thing has been, frankly, a bit of a mess and professional. But there are people today taking their ATPL exams and sitting effectively the same exam for or the UK, the same exam for EASA, in order to get to your licenses. I mean, if you don't have an EASA license, because we are now a third country, then you can't fly for example, Ryanair if it's an Irish registered airplane, and all sorts of other bits of hassle and just complete rubbish like that. There's a whole load of stuff that's been, well, certainly a whole load of stuff that was promised by 2 or 3 aviation ministers ago that was going to happen, which didn't happen, and there's just a mess and confusion. And I feel so sorry for the people going through training right now. It's just really difficult trying to make the right decisions for a future career, and it's all messed up because of politics, really, not because of any practical issues that there were.
Well, I think it's fair to say the CAA did not expect us to be leaving EASA. Yeah, they were not geared up for that at all. So,
well, I mean, if you take everything that the EASA does in terms of airworthiness regulation, that whole thing, and quite a lot of UK experts and experts from all of the other national aviation authorities migrated to EASA and worked with EASA, and then all of a sudden that has landed on the CAA's desk. And so the CAA's got to have experts in all of those areas, which it clearly can't have overnight and will take a while to build up. And by diverging away, it means that we can't easily rely on some of the expertise that is still there. Everybody loves to hate EASA. Everybody loves to hate regulators, but there's a whole bunch of really good stuff that's been done as well. Things like CS Stan is just an absolutely fantastic piece of maintenance regulation that people need to understand more, that does some great stuff. But we're in real danger of chucking the baby out with the bathwater, as my mum would have said. So, but there you go. You never know, but these people will. These people live this each and every day with their students, and will be fighting it hard. And hopefully, the CA will listen and
find
there's a whole bunch of stuff to be learned now.
Yeah.
Yes,
Anyway.
Johnny, I think you're next.
Yes. So Legends, Flying Legends. Now it's one of the UK's big air shows. Unfortunately, it's cancelled this year. It was due to be held at Sywell on the 10th and 11th of July. And this would have been the first show at Sywell after they moved from Duxford. And it would have been the first show that I would have been able to go to because it always used to clash with the air tattoo. So I'm slightly disappointed there. But it will be back next year, Legends 2022. I'm not sure what the date is yet. I don't think they've fixed it, but it's a shame to see it off the calendar this year. But we'll be back in a bit with our own Warbirds, won't we?
Yes.
Which comes to me and a little story about the Piper PA-28 wing spar AD that came out. I can't remember. It must have been a good month or so ago now. Probably more than a month or so ago. I don't know if you remember Embry-Riddle. There was an airplane that had a wing come off in flight, and the examiner and student were sadly killed. And as a result of that investigation, it was found there was some hairline cracks through usage. So the FAA issued an AD, and the CAA and EASA figured that they couldn't actually mimic the FAA AD because things were measured differently. So we came up with our own thing with EASA, that was. And we came up, you have to take flight hours, and you have to take EASA factored service hours and average annual usage hours and time in service stuff, and you do this kind of complicated little sum, and you follow a little thing, and then you may have to sort of eddy current test a whole bunch of stuff. So there was a whole load of people who went out and said, well, this needs to be done, so I'm going to go and do it, and they went and did it. Unfortunately, it now turns out that you only need to do it when you get to a critical number, and that number is 5,000 bananas or whatever it happens to be. And when you get to that number, that's when you need to do it. If you did it before, and the thing that the CAA AD update that came out today, if you've already done yours and you haven't got to 5,000 bananas, well, when you get to 5,000 bananas, you've got to do it again. You've got to do that calculation all the time now to make sure that you get to 5,000 bananas. So once you've done it, you can bin that, forget that. You still have to do it again. And whether again means in 6 months' time, in 3 months' time, in 3 years' time, or whatever it is, you're going to be calculating all the way along there. Apart from putting in a new spar, which frankly no one's going to do if you don't need to, you're going to have to do it again. So there you go. So that's a bit of an AD that came out today. Bit of a shocker, caused a few ripples through the old engineering community there, unsurprisingly.
Yeah. Blimey.
Yeah, absolutely. So finally, I wasn't quite sure where to put this. I wanted to tell everybody a little story, actually. So, yeah. Now, you know those moments in aviation? The times that are the times that are special? Your first solo, your first navigational cross-country, your first land away, maybe your first night flight, maybe your first flight overseas. I don't know about you, but I can remember all of those things, and they have a special place in my aviation heart. This week, I added to those. I have another special aviation milestone. This week, I had my account on the CAA portal approved, and I filled in my SELMA application for a medical and paid the Civil Aviation Authority £8 for the first time. What an absolutely terrible freaking system that is. I mean, what are they playing at? Seriously, if I went, the system looks about as good as I could produce if I went out and learned coding at night school, which I'm not going to do, by the way. It's clunky, it looks horrible. And by the way, there's a facility that says, oh, you can save it and come back to it later. So that's great, because there's a whole load of questions. Save it, come back to it later. What happens? It's put some cookie or something somewhere, and it gives you a 500 error, and you can't do that. And I kind of discovered by accident that you need to clear all your cookies or go into an incognito window to get it back again. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. The people behind it ought to be ashamed of themselves. They're in a corner, and it's ridiculous. However, I would just like to say it will go down in history, my personal history, as one of my aviation milestones to have got my SELMA appointment. And on a serious note, if you need a medical appointment, you need to get working right now, because it takes forever. And if you're anything like me, you'll probably smash 2 or 3 computers along the way. Well done, everybody. Thank you very much.
It sounds like if you achieve all of this and you actually get SELMA to work, then you've probably got the right stuff. So
they should give you a medical just for getting that far. I mean, anyone who doesn't have blood pressure problems at the beginning of that, by the time they finished it, it's like
will have blood pressure problems.
They will definitely have blood pressure problems. It's appalling.
Anyway, so I think it's time. Yes, so well done for that. But I think it's time for
the right stuff.
That's always so ominous, that music. So, joining us tonight on the live stream is one of the UK's top aviation YouTubers and newly fledged helicopter CPL, Rory Auskerry. Rory, welcome along.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Nice to be with you all.
Oh, look, he's like there's a magic to Rory because he is a natural presenter, right? Because you've got a bit of a presenting background, haven't you? So you make us all look like real amateurs.
Well, I wanted to. I couldn't outdo the guys with their libraries of books or Johnny's really tidy, empty office. So I thought I'd go for copying you, Ed, with the old iMac background.
Oh, good plan. Good plan. What you need to work on. Mine at the moment is like, I'll just give you the screensaver randomly. It's like, stop it. But anyway, so you join us tonight, and my job before you get your interview with Johnny is to give you the right stuff quiz questions. So you may have probably seen these. They're 10 quick fire questions. The marking schedule, only Ian knows. So here we go. I'll wish you luck. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go for it.
Okay. Robinson or Cadbury?
Robinson.
Glass cockpit or steam?
Glass.
Quick stop or auto rotation?
Quick stop.
North up or track up?
North up.
Rudder pedals or your pedals?
Your pedals.
Oh. Someone has finger trouble.
I've done so badly, I only get 5 questions.
Yes, like we're done. Yeah. Microlight or heli?
Ooh, that's difficult. Helicopter, those got to be.
Okay. Chicken hawk or chicken dinner?
Chicken hawk.
Excellent. Grass or hard?
Neither. Don't need it. I'm a helicopter.
Go through or round controlled airspace?
Oh, through it all day.
Excellent. And paper chart or tablet?
Tablet every day.
Excellent. Where's Mr. Finger Trouble? Now you're not fiddling, are you? No, you can't add yourself.
There you go.
That's better.
There you go. Yeah. Okay, Roy. I think people are just picking on me. Basically, the score you got was 85%, which is pretty good. And the only one we docked you a couple of points really for the North Up thing. I know it's contentious, and I know that there are some people out there. Clearly, you're one of them who flies North Up, and have yet to find the one true way, which is track up. But that's okay.
Well, my instructors are big advocates of track up, and I've tried it, but then all the labeling's all the wrong way around on the paper chart. It's all right on the electronic version, but on the paper chart, it's all upside down. You can't read it.
What's
when
the
the
paper?
ATC asks you for a position report and you're like this, trying to work out, I don't know which way around am I and all the rest of it. It's totally hopeless.
What's the paper chart? What's that thing you had there?
Well, it's a very badly folded one, I'm embarrassed to say.
You take that straight back to the museum where it came from.
Don't worry, I've got my tablet as well.
I think there should be a chart amnesty.
Yeah, maybe they should.
Yeah.
I got refused my first ever zone transit the day before yesterday. I've never been refused a zone transit ever, and I was refused it by East Midlands Radar, who are, I have to say, normally incredibly helpful. But they were particularly busy, and I called up wanting to go right through the zone diagonally from the northwest because I'd come from Manchester and out the bottom, and they had a lot of traffic, and they asked me if I'd go around the outside, so I did. But that was the first time I've ever been refused.
Do you know how much an R44 costs an hour? Anyway.
Yeah, that cost me at least an extra 60 quid having to go around Ashby de la Zouche.
There you go. Okay, I'm now going to play the proper stinger that I meant to play earlier, and by the time that ends, in theory, you should be there with Johnny, who'll do your interview for you. So here we go.
Jingle.
Slick. This is BBC production quality. Anyway, how are you, Rory?
I'm very well, thank you, Johnny. Very good indeed. Nice to be here tonight.
Good, yeah. Thanks for joining us. So we'll just spend the next sort of 15 minutes chatting about a few things. Just let's kick off and just talk us through what prompted you to get into flying. How did it all start?
Well, that's quite an easy one. I was a little boy growing up on an island in Orkney up in Scotland, and there's a lighthouse on the island. The island's called Auskerry, which is what I'm named after. And there was just my family on it, so mum and dad, two younger brothers, and we had a flock of sheep, and there were plenty of seals and seabirds, and it was an idyllic place to grow up, beautiful place, and I had a lovely childhood there. But it was rather short on action. There wasn't much in the way of stuff going on. So every now and again, usually once or sometimes if I was lucky twice a year, the Northern Lighthouse Board would turn up in a bright red Bolko 105 helicopter. And it's bright red, it's shiny, it's noisy, it smells of jet fuel. The pilots getting out of it are wearing flight suits and sunglasses with their gold stripes. And I just thought, it could hover, it could carry stuff. It came from a ship. I mean, I was just in love with it immediately. I thought that's what I want to do. So I grew up just constantly always thinking back to that and wanting to kind of get into that world. And I couldn't join any of the military services. I tried at 16. I remember calling them all up one after the other, and they all declined to take me on because they said I had asthma on my medical records as a kid. And I'm 6'4", so they, at least two of them, I think the RAF and the Navy, said I was too tall because they said something about losing your legs in an ejector seat incident because I've got too much knee to thigh distance. Anyway, long story short, I got involved in the BBC around that same time. I loved radio. I had a passion for music, and I threw myself into that. And I didn't forget about aviation. I don't think anybody who loves it ever does. But I kind of resigned myself to the fact that it wasn't going to become a career path for me because I couldn't afford to train privately. So I just kind of got on with radio. And then a few years ago, in 2016, I was in Manchester working at the BBC, and Barton Airfield, which is, as many of you know, is a really busy, thriving airfield with lots of activity going on it. And it was a 10-minute drive up the road. So I thought to myself, well, I'll just go and have a look. And I started doing a bit of research, and I kind of realized that flying microlight airplanes was affordable. And I had a trial lesson, and I absolutely fell in love with the Eurostar, within 10 minutes. And I started with Main Air Flying School and never looked back. Got my license. In fact, I've got my first solo certificate from City Airport up on the shelf there. I was absolutely content to fly around the Northwest and elsewhere in the microlights, in the Eurostar and the C-42. And again, didn't really think that a commercial career was ever going to happen until 2019 when an opportunity came up to apply for a commercial integrated helicopter training course in Leicester, and I got a place, and here I am now, a qualified commercial helicopter pilot, which is, I still can't believe it every time I say it. It's totally mad.
Brilliant. Yeah, well, it's been a lot of hard work to get you there. And also, let's just quickly talk about the YouTube channel.
You're still there, Johnny? Do you want me to just keep going? Shall I fill?
Oh, have you got me?
I can't hear you if you can hear me.
I can hear you absolutely fine.
And I can hear both of you.
Oh.
Ah.
Can you hear me, Rory?
Yeah, I can, Ian, yeah.
Say something, Johnny.
Can you hear me, Rory?
Ah, that's
spooky. I think Johnny's internet's gone a bit squiffy.
Weird.
I can now. I can't see you moving, though.
Ask a question, Johnny.
Right. Can you hear me now, Rory?
Ask another question and I'll translate.
Right. Yeah. Right. So tell us how your journey to Orkney came about.
Well, I mean, that's been something that I've wanted to do for a long time. I mean, I say a long time. Ever since I started flying the aeroplanes, I wanted to go back to Orkney. I got as far as Fife with Lizzie on a day trip once in a C-42, and I got one of my first ever zone transits actually through Edinburgh's airspace over the bridges. And I remember being really nervous about calling Edinburgh radar, and I felt like a proper naughty schoolboy asking to get past. And of course, this was pre-COVID days, so there was quite a lot of traffic. And you know, they told me to cross behind the landing A320 EasyJet and all the rest of it. It was really exciting, and I loved that. And I kind of always wanted to get to Orkney. And then once I started the heli course, and I kind of knew that there was going to be a period of time after getting my commercial license before I started becoming a flight instructor, which is my next plan, that there's a thing called hour building, and that is, I needed to build around 50 to 60 hours. And I thought, well, what can I do that will help me build time, but also be exciting, and also, for me, importantly, be something that will actually be useful to me to help me grow as a pilot? Because my interpretation of the point of hour building is not just to do a million circuits of your local airfield or fly a million 1 hour flights, around the kind of local area that you're really familiar with. It's to try and push yourself and to have new experiences and grow as an aviator. So I thought, well, what can I do that would fulfill all those boxes? And obviously fly to Orkney just totally jumped out at me as a thing to do. So I planned it very carefully, and Lizzie agreed to come with me, and her parents and my parents both live up in Orkney in various places on Auskerry and on the mainland. So we just, we thought we'd go for it. It'd be a good weekend trip. And it was. It didn't go quite according to plan, but it was excellent nonetheless.
Brilliant. So just tell us why you picked the R44. Was there a choice of helicopters you could have taken?
Yeah, well, when I first started thinking about doing it, I obviously trained on the Cabri, which is a fabulous aircraft. And in the quiz, I plumped for the 44 because it's a bit faster. It cruises at 100. It kind of easily goes at 110 with two people. It's more comfortable. There's more space and more payload, so you can have 2 or 3 people in it as well as yourself, passengers and all the rest of it. So for an aircraft, for a tour and a trip, it's more practical. And also the Cabris that Heli Centre have are used almost constantly for training. So to hire one for 5 days straight and take it away is almost a non-starter because they need it for lessons. The 44s are a bit more available. So it seemed like an obvious thing to do. And that photograph you just showed up for a minute ago is Lizzie and I heading up the northeast coast of Scotland. I'm not sure exactly where. Somebody will recognise that hill. But you can see over my right shoulder a blanket of white cloud, which is the sea har rolling in. We couldn't see, where the sea met the land all the way up, which I knew was a bad sign. And the sort of METARs at Wick and Kirkwall, which are obviously right on the east side of both the mainland of Scotland and Orkney, were IFR, and everyone was saying in Orkney, local pilots and stuff were saying, we think it's burning off, it's improving, by the time you get up here, because it was a 2-hour steam from Fife, it's going to improve. But as you see there, that's us just coasting out over the sort of Gills Bay ferry terminal. And that island that you can see the first half of is the island of Stroma, which is in the middle of the Pentland Firth. Now, normally you'd see Stroma and Swona behind it, and then you'd see parts of Hoy and South Ronaldsay and Scapa Flow and all that sort of stuff. And we saw none of it. And I knew in my heart, you know, before we even coasted out, that it wasn't going to be workable, but I just wanted to look. And again, in this picture, you can see behind us, it's Cav OK and lovely. And then you can just see that blanket wall of Har, which was impassable for a single engine VFR helicopter with a pilot that isn't qualified for anything other than that. And the looks on Lizzie and I's faces of this isn't going how we want it kind of says it all, I think.
Yeah. So what did you do from there? Oh, have you lost me again?
Rory said, what did you do from there?
Well, I'd planned that if we couldn't get to Orkney or Wick, I had a point somewhere up the northeast coast where I was going to have to, you know, get Lizzie to refresh the METARs again on the phone. And actually Scottish Information were very helpful, and they kind of knew what I was trying to do, and they kind of said to me, you know, just to make you aware, Kirkwall and Wick are both IFR. And by that point, I'd actually made a call in the air to a hotel called the Ulster Arms Hotel, which is the only H other than Wick up that neck of the woods. And I phoned them off my Bose Bluetooth headset, which has paid for itself several times over on this trip, and said to them, I know this is a bit random, but I'm calling from a helicopter. I'm flying up to Scotland, and, you know, we're part way up, because I thought, well, if it is going to burn off, I don't want to fly all the way back to Inverness only to find out in an hour or two's time that it's cleared. So I thought, if I can get to this hotel, we can sit it out, have a cup of tea, and we're, you know, 20 miles from Orkney, and we can just blat across as soon as it comes good. And of course, it didn't come good. We ended up staying the night in a hotel. It didn't improve the following day either, until right late on in the evening, where you know, and the other problem I had at that point was I had an hour of fuel left on the aircraft, which obviously half an hour of that was sacrosanct as my final reserve. So I only had half an hour of usable fuel, which was more than enough to get me either to Orkney or to Wick. But if I couldn't guarantee getting into one or other of those because they were not weather, I just couldn't lift. I couldn't go anywhere. So I found myself in a situation where I'm sat in this lovely hotel garden, you know, having a lemonade with Lizzie in glorious sunshine, with a helicopter sat there that I've rented, and lots of people going, when are you going to take it flying? We want to see you take off. And I couldn't go anywhere because it wasn't, you know, I didn't have enough juice. So eventually we managed to get some fuel from a very helpful, Drew from Far North Aviation, who's based at Wick. He was able to sort us out some fuel away from the airfield so that we were able to do it in, you know, good weather conditions, which was tremendously helpful of him. He was fantastic on this trip. And the following morning, it cleared enough for us to get across to Orkney, which was a massive win. And there's me with my mum and my mother-in-law and my father-in-law and Lizzie, of course, parked at their house in the field just on the west side of Orkney, just north of Finstoun. So that was a really special moment. I was disappointed because, there's my father-in-law absolutely cheesing with being up in a helicopter and me looking a bit gormless. But it was, I mean, you can kind of see in the background in some of these pictures that there's still Har around. The east side of Orkney was just a no-go. And we tried again to get to Auskerry, which is, you know, that was the bucket shot, the photograph, the bit of the video that I really wanted to get was to get to Auskerry and park in front of the lighthouse where the Northern Lighthouse board had worked from. But that eluded me on this occasion, sadly, and I didn't get to see my dad. He was waiting out there. Mum had loaded up a couple of carrier bags of fresh vegetables and some pork pies into the helicopter, and we had to unload them again half an hour later. So sorry about that, Dad. But it was a fabulous trip nonetheless. I got to fly with my sister-in-law and her partner, one of my brothers, my mum, my father-in-law, one of my best friends from school. Orkney is an absolutely stunning place to fly. If you've ever considered going up there, you know, see Har notwithstanding, it is wonderful. The contrast between the land and the sea, the beaches, the way the water is just crystal clear. It's kind of not really Scotland. It doesn't feel like Scotland. I mean, Scotland's beautiful as well with all its mountains and everything, but Orkney is just a wonderful place to fly, and I consider myself very fortunate to have had the opportunity to do it, and I hope to get to do it again. But if that's the only chance I get, then I'm still happy with that.
Yeah, brilliant. Right, if you can still hear me, you've got some stats.
So I guess your next question, Johnny.
Go for it.
Because it's looking like you're on 50% speed tonight.
You said, I believe you got some interesting stats. Perhaps you could let us know what they are.
Yeah, well, I started to tot up, some various things that had come up on the trip. I took on 590 litres of avgas at various places, which cost me just under 1,200 quid. We landed at 6 airfields, 3 private sites, did 18 landings and takeoffs, flew with 7 passengers. We flew 1,084 nautical miles, according to Sky Demon, and I've clocked up 1.37 gigabytes of HD video footage. So I'm going to be working a while before some of this appears on Rory on Air, but there will be a video. I mean, I think for me, the main thing is that my wife, Lizzie, was a huge support. I mean, they talk about crew resource management, and she's had no official flight training, but, she's got a real understanding now of, what's being said on the radio and TAFs and METARs and radio frequencies and transponder codes and look out for traffic and all sorts of things like that. She's incredibly supportive and encouraging. She's enthusiastic. She sits quietly when she knows I'm under pressure and need to concentrate. So it was a joy to do this adventure with her. And from an aviating point of view, I learned a huge amount. I mean, Scotland is beautiful, but the parts we were in were very rural. There's not a lot there. There aren't very many places to get fuel. The 44 is thirsty, and it burns 60 litres of avgas an hour roughly. So it's, it'll pass anything except a filling station. I've had to learn. I mean, I thought I'd planned a plan A, a plan B, and probably a plan C in most cases, but I found myself, particularly with the instance of calling the Ulster Arms, and there were other times too of trying to work out a plan B for the plan C, because thing is such a dynamic environment, aviation anyway. But when you're single pilot on your own, and if something doesn't work out the way you thought it was going to work out, no one else is going to come and sort it for you. You've just got to work it out for yourself. And I actually really enjoyed that. It was stressful at times, and it was really galling to get so close to Orkney and then spend 24 hours, almost within spitting distance of it. I could smell the sea, but I couldn't get there. And, family members and friends are trying to be helpful photographs of blue sky over their house, but they don't realize there's this wall of fog in the Pentland Firth that I can't just fly over the top of, because if the engine fails, I'm stuffed. So it's managing expectations, it's managing your own emotions and fighting that desire for, get there itis, and just kind of a giant game of problem solving where you fix one problem, but it creates you another, and then you have to kind of work that as well. But I guess that's being a pilot, and I love it. So it was great.
Yeah, well, no, it's a really inspirational story, and I think a lot of people this summer are going to be wanting to push the limits and explore around the country. So, well done for doing it. And I know a few people that I'm friends with have ventured into Scotland for the first time in their aircraft, and they've really enjoyed it. So that's it's on the agenda for me as well. So thank you very much for joining us.
Absolute pleasure, and it was a great experience, and I'm really looking forward to people getting to see it for themselves on my YouTube channel. So if you aren't a subscriber already, go and check it out. And once I've managed to get my head around the multiple files of video, I'll produce something for you to see the concerned look on my face, as well as the elation of making it.
I've only jumped in very quickly because there was a comment that popped up early on. Rory, you talked about the Red Bolko landing at on Osprey Island. Busy Aviation, who I know is a pilot called Chris Cooper. He said that was me.
Yeah, Chris Cooper is a legend. He and I have been chatting. He sent me some photographs of him at his various flights in the Bolko. I didn't remember him flying up to Auskerry. I mean, there were lots of pilots that I remembered. There was a guy called Dave Lippiat, I think, who was an ex-army guy. There was a guy called Paul Longdon, who I remember coming down to our actual house at the other end of the island one day when they weren't needing him to fly. And, I remember showing him my Playmobil model helicopter, which I'd painted red and, put all the decals on it. And I had, black duct tape wing mirrors stuck to the front of it. I tried to make it look as exactly like their one as I possibly could. And he seemed quite impressed. So there's a guy called Callum Faulkner as well. There were lots of pilots. So I'd love to hear from any of them. If they're still on the go, it would be nice to sort of let them know that they inspired me enough to take it on. And Chris is great. We have a few chats about aviation, certainly.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Good. Great. Well, thanks for joining us.
Absolute pleasure. Good stuff, and good luck with the rest of the live streams. I enjoy watching. It's a good watch.
Thanks
you
very
very
much. Right, Ian, push some buttons. Hey,
What a great story.
Yeah.
I know, brilliant, isn't it? He's a good guy too, Rory.
Very, very.
Excellent. So, time for Fantasy Hangar.
The fancy hangar, indeed.
Yes. So, because picking up on the news story that Flying Legends has been cancelled. Oh, Paul Fraser Menison says fancy helicopter, not this week, sadly. We've done that. But obviously, Flying Legends has been cancelled. So we decided we would pick our favourite warbirds, but not just any warbirds. We'd pick our favourite replica warbirds. So it's the sort of warbirds that regular PPLs can afford to buy and run. So who's first?
Me. I'm first.
Oh.
I picked this one because this is just stunning.
That looks like a real one.
Hang on a minute. Or radio controlled.
That's a real one, but I guess we can't have real ones.
No. So what did you pick?
I picked this one.
Yes.
There you go. Look at that. That's an SSDR Corsair. It's a German aircraft. It's the J&H Corsair. You can buy one. You can buy one ready-made. You can buy a kit. It's a carbon fuselage with a Kevlar crew protection thing. It's powered by a 3-cylinder 42 horsepower radial engine, stressed to +6 and -4. Fits in with the SSDR regs. Fits in with the US Part 103 regs. Fits in with all sorts of regs. I think its empty weight is something like 120 kilos, and max all that weight is something like 250 kilos. And you can fit a BRS if you want as well. So there you go. I have to say, it doesn't quite look as good as this. But it's V8 German VAT paid. It's 69,000 euros ready to fly. So that you can add a few bits and pieces. But there you go. I mean, a Corsair. I'm not sure if you're sitting in it, you actually feel like you're flying a real Corsair or not. And yeah, well, there you go. So that was my pick.
I don't think it's quite a fun looking thing. It needs retractable gear though.
Yeah,
that would probably double the weight.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's an amazing bit of structural engineering, that thing, when you see it without fabric.
I saw a video of it taking off, which I didn't have time to capture and put up here. And it starts its takeoff roll, gets the tail up, and then just levitates upwards. It was amazing. And it's kind of a really the engine sounds like almost like a big motorbike single. Quite an interesting thing. I probably won't be buying one, but my fantasy hangar, it will sit in the corner alongside the real one.
Excellent. Good plan.
Yeah. Who's next then? I think it's Dave next.
Yes, well, I've gone for something called the Scale Wings SW51. The 51 kind of gives a hint to what it is, and here it is. It's a Mustang replica, 70% in size. This aircraft has been under development for many years. But on the 20th of May this year, it flew, the first production one flew for the first time. It's in the Czech Republic where they're making it. Look at that. It's just a lovely little thing. 70% replica, all carbon fiber with more than 100,000 details all molded into the carbon fiber. So things like rivets, textiles, covers, they're all molded in. So it's a huge amount of work. It's limited to the 600 kilogram category across Europe to meet the microlite regs, although actually it has a 750 kilogram maximum takeoff weight. Inside, it's got a Garmin G3S glass cockpit, electrically driven retractable landing gear, ballistic parachute system, but the engine is the Rotax 915IS, so the new engine. You can, I mean, the Scalewings have been playing around with other engines, such as a Chevy V8, but yeah, I don't really see that working. The Rotax slips in there very nicely. Performance is, as I hesitate to claim it's performance now, but the performance is said to be a climb rate of more than 2,200 feet per minute, and it's supposed to have a VNE of 216 knots. So it's a fast thing as well.
That's quite a nice looking thing. I bet it's really expensive though.
I was going to say, what's the price, Dave?
Well, they haven't actually announced the price, but what they did say, it will cost 10% of the cost of a real Mustang. So if a real Mustang is about what, 5-10 million?
No, if a Mustang you pick up for about two and kind of entry level, 2.5 million.
2.5 million. So 250,000.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
I'm going to bet you won't get much change out of 300k.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What did Johnny go for?
Well, I'm the only one that's gone for the enemy. I've picked the War FW1.
Is this Johnny earlier in the day?
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. That looks like it could pull more G than your Corsair.
Yeah, I think it probably could. Johnny's actual choice
is the War FW190, which is a half scale. I think it's 60% replica of the big Focke-Wulf 190. First built in '73. It was designed by a guy in Santa Paula in California, and it made its first flight in '74. The performance isn't outstanding. It's got a maximum speed of 169 knots, cruises at 108, but it looks like great fun. It's most of them either have a Lycoming, I think it's 0230, or a little HCI radial.
I think it's that Focke-Wulf is Continental 0200.
I'll go with your answer because you know.
When you say it was designed by a guy in Santa Paula, do you not mean it was designed by someone in Germany?
No.
Really?
Originally, yes.
I meant originally. The Germans copied this guy in Santa Paula. We'll have a bigger one of those.
In the 70s. The war replicas are all quite clever because they use like the basic airframe is like a wooden airframe underneath, and then you just added the shapes in foam of the airplane you wanted to create. So there was a Sea Fury, and there was the FW190. I think there was a P51, and some others. There was definitely a Thunderbolt, and amazingly, a few of these have been in the UK in the past. There was a Thunderbolt that was imported; it got written off, unfortunately, and there was a Sea Fury that crashed. And the FW190 that was in Johnny's picture, that was built over here, and there's been a few FW190s. But
there was one at Kemble years and years ago.
Yes, it might have been that one.
I think it was.
However, so you've all got those choices. However, I feel that I might have trumped all of that with this. This is the 1/3 scale B-17. It's the Bally bomber built by a guy called Jack Bally. He spent 18 years and 40,000 man hours basically making a 1/3 scale B-17. Basically, it's kind of perfect aerodynamic details, and it does look like a little tiny B-17. It's one-man cockpit up front, and your feet are in the nose, just behind the bomb aimer's position, and it's about the same size as the 152, cruises at 90 knots. The engines it's got 4 80 horsepower Herth 2-strokes. To make them fit inside the cowls, he took the gearboxes off, so now the Herths can only run and generate about 40 horsepower, and they've got little scale-sized props. And the test pilot who flew it famously said it's got 2 throttle positions, open and closed. You have to fly it around at max chat. And I think we have a video.
We do.
There you go.
That looks heavily laden to me.
Yeah.
It's the guy who flew it said, yeah, it's really underpowered. So and they put like 50, 60 hours on it, and it went to Oshkosh, made its debut at AirVenture 2018. Yeah, I think it's quite a handful to fly all the time. But what an amazing machine! So
it's for sale, isn't it?
It was for sale. Yeah, I couldn't trace any of the ads for when it had been up for sale, so I don't know whether someone's bought it. Hopefully, someone will have bought it and got 4 reasonable radial engines. Sadly, Jack passed away last year, so yeah. And
well, there you go. What have we got in the comments then?
Well, clearly I win. So Dave White suggested the Bally Bomber early on, and he said, "See, Ed wins." And Paul Cadell backs that up. Nye Williams says the same. You realise if you're just choosing all these people, you could be. That's true, yes, but I never do things like that. I was going to say Johnny won, but with his first choice. Or actually, yeah, let's see Johnny's first choice again. This is Johnny Top Gun.
Look at that. What do they call those things? Pedal props?
Pedal planes, yes.
Pedal planes.
This Ian asked me if I had a photo of Johnny flying, and this is actually from the Osh AirVenture pedal plane parade, where they had, I think it was over 100 kids in pedal planes, and some of them were brilliant. There's clearly some very competitive dads.
Yeah. Are these plans built, or are they all just made from scratch?
Yeah, they're all plans built. And pedal planes all started, I think it started out, there was a Kristen Eagle one year, you could build a pedal plane and people, and now you go there and there's a big stand, and one year someone had a twin Mustang pedal plane. So quite something. But anyway, yes, so I win, I think. In this order, Mark Litherland said, in this order, Dave, Ed, John. No, that doesn't back up my winning. That's no good.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Mine was probably the cheapest.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Johnny. Yeah. Well, we'll see. Anyway, what have we got in terms of cream tea fly-ins then, Dave?
Right. Well, clearly, events. There's nothing in Cornwall. Don't go. You can have a pasty. But on Saturday, there's 3 nice events. There's Vintage Saturday at Compton. There's the Vintage Aircraft Club at last being able to hold an event, the Tulip Rally at Fenland. And there's a Stearman flying at Enstone. So good weekend from that point of view. Just don't go to Cornwall. And of course, coming up, 3rd of July, is the Flyer Club at Sleep.
Yeah.
Which leads me to say, over to you, Johnny.
Yeah, thank you. So we've got obviously a new month, new landing vouchers live. We emailed them out to everybody, all the club members yesterday. So if you haven't seen them, check your inbox. And we've just uploaded some more Joe Fournier safety analysis this evening. So we'll email that out for people to read tomorrow. It's a good one. Obviously, the Flyer Club fly-in, as Dave has just mentioned, on the 3rd of July. We'll be getting some more information to you soon. I called Bruce 3 times today and his phone was engaged each time. So if you're watching, Bruce, I'll be ringing again tomorrow. And if you're not a member and you still want to, take part in all these great things and get these benefits, you can just visit the Flyer Club website at flyer.co.uk and look for the club button at the top. And all the information as well as the process to join is right there. And it's just £7.50 a quarter.
Well, hey.
For now. For now.
Yeah.
We've had a reminder. It's the Vintage Piper Aircraft Club fly-in at Sandown on Saturday.
Wow.
Right.
They've probably barely had a chance to restock their pizza supply.
I would imagine. Hopefully there's still some grass left.
Hopefully, yeah, absolutely. But no, isn't it AstroTurf there?
AstroTurf, yeah.
So, QSY, Johnny, you've got a quick QSY, haven't you? I think.
Yeah, just a quick one, just to say, a get well soon to Beryl at Fishburn. She's very kindly given us another free landing voucher for later in the summer, but she's not been very well. So when that landing voucher comes out, go over to Fishburn, go and say hello to Beryl, and we hope you get well soon because she's been a bit poorly.
Absolutely, get well soon, Beryl. And the other thing, a whole bunch of people have seen this, but I think there may be a few people who haven't seen it yet. There was an American Airlines taxiing incident at Dallas. Let's just take a quick look.
Well, that doesn't look good.
It definitely wasn't.
No.
Yeah.
That's definitely not good.
No.
What are the chances it hasn't dented the wing?
There was another picture that I saw, and there are no. It was lucky that it didn't sever the entire wing, to be honest with you. So, I believe there's probably. I don't know. I imagine the captain would have been steering on the ground with the tiller, wouldn't he, at those speeds? So, so he's probably busy polishing his CV as we speak. Would you like to go large with those fries, sir?
Oh no!
Or it could be. Anyway, I do believe that's it for tonight.
I think so. Oh,
we've lost him
again.
Wow, that timing was
yeah, I do believe that's it. And just like, and he's off. Oh, he's reappeared. There he is.
What happened there? Oh,
were we boring you?
Yeah, I thought it'd be better to bookmark this thing with a bit of a problem at the beginning and a problem at the end, and just hopefully the stuff in the middle was good enough for everyone. So thank you once again to 4Flight. This is 4Flight Sentry, an ADS-B in receiver. It has a carbon monoxide detector and an AHRS in it, so you can use that. You can find out more about it by going to www.flywithsentry.com/flyer. And again, thank you to 4Flight for supporting the live stream. Thank you, everyone, for giving us an hour of your time on a Thursday. And we really enjoyed it. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good one. Fly safe this weekend and enjoy. Thank you, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.